Why don't we get, I'll call the order then.
What's the date?
Well, we do have some minutes, but since we don't have a quorum,
That's from the last
Again.
meeting we had, because it wasn't posted properly.
why don't we just skip that for the next time? Well, there are a couple of things I do want to discuss here, and I wish there were more people here. New committee members, I had sent out an email on that. And last week, I had a long talk with William Abbott, who's the executive director of the Upper Saco Valley Land Trust. I had heard that basically they were putting together a project that's almost identical to what we've got, what we're doing, bring in other groups as well. And I just wanted to get a clearer sense of what it was that he was doing to evaluate it against our project and our goals here. And as he talked and as I talked, it was clear that this is a duplication of effort. And he and I both agreed that the redundancy was not going to help. Basically, we've got different groups trying to do the same thing. We're going to be fighting for grants and financial support. And that by pooling our resources, we could make a much stronger, more effective effort. And so what I had done is I had talked with Dave Sorensen, who chairs the Board of Commissioners, and I had asked him, ran by him, the idea of reaching out to other organizations that were doing the same thing and bring us together, and in that effort to maybe have one of their members on our committee here. And I said, you are the appointing body here, and so we want to be sure that you're comfortable with this. And he said, go for it. So what I did, I asked William Abbott if he or someone that in his organization would like to be on our committee. And he said, yes. He says, I agree with you, the redundancy is counterproductive. And he said, we have just hired a person who basically, this is going to be their job. He says, I have other activities and other goals. He said, but this person is going to be focused exclusively on a regional county food system, which is bigger than the county. And he says,
Which is what?
Putting together a regional food system.
Oh, I know, but what county?
Bigger than Carroll County.
Bigger, okay.
Yeah. They'll go over into Oxford County, Maine,
Yeah.
and Grafton and Coas County as well, although our focus would be on Carroll County here. So I talked with her this morning. Her name is Jessie, and she's, as I said, she's new. She has a master's degree in environmental law. She's very excited about the joint projects, and I told her that I would be bringing this up at our committee meeting today. We can't take a vote on it, but I would very much like to have Jessie as a part of our committee. She's excited about doing this. They're reaching out to others.
So the primary purpose that we'd be doing this is it's essentially access to the existing funding. So there's a possibility that it's a bigger organization, a business could look at. I mean, I'm just a supposition.
Yep, go ahead,
We have this
go ahead.
building, okay, what we're trying to do is minor food preparation for salad greens. So we could produce them in Oxford County, and we could sort and bag them here because this is where the facility is, that kind of thing. I mean,
Well, and I can't give you a definitive answer, Henry,
Right.
because I don't know how this is shaping up.
Yeah.
But what they're looking at is basically connecting the farmers with the home consumer.
Right.
And the various steps in that process.
Okay.
And that's basically what we're looking at as well. I think the thing that makes us unique and different is what role are we looking for the county farm and lands to play in this whole process?
Yeah.
That's not their bailiwick. But basically the food banks, the processing, the marketing, the distribution is what they're all about. The county farm and lands is something that
Could fit into that
could
system.
fit in this very much on a
okay.
much larger scale.
I got it, yeah, okay.
So as I say, unfortunately, we can't take a vote, but I'd like to get the sense of the two of you, how you feel about bringing in other people from other organizations that are basically making the same effort with the same goals and projects that we've got.
Yeah, the way I understand from a little bit I heard from Andy Kendall is that there are investors, and some of them are nonprofit, but think of the for-profit ones that understand there's a lot of money to be made growing locally and marketing locally grown foods. If we take Carroll County and sort of involve it with other groups doing the same thing, what we're talking about is we're creating a larger aggregate of farmable land, right?
And farmers.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
This would be part of the farmable land, so
Yep.
that when a business is coming looking in, I can sell X number of millions of pounds of green beans. but I can't grow enough of them there, but because we have a bigger organization with more acreage, we can do larger scale farming. It's all small scale farming, but we have a larger pool of land to grow on.
A
Let's put it
larger
that-
aggregate, yes.
Right, yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yep.
If that's what we're talking about,
Yep.
makes a lot of sense to me, although I'm a little leery about bringing in something from a different state. But I don't think that's
Yep.
insurmountable.
Yeah. Okay, Becky, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I guess I'm, again, wondering how large we want to go. Our main goal was to see what we could do with the county
Exactly. Yep.
lands. I still stay away from the farm because there's many county lands.
Yep.
As I sent you the letter, to that effect, we have a problem because, everybody's talked about leasing the land and all this stuff, but there's no land to lease, basically.
Mhm.
You have woods, you have hay fields, and you have a very small crop production
Mm-hmm.
area.
Well,
I-
the hayfield can be plowed
Well,
under and grow squash.
Yeah.
not according to what the commissioners want, because Commissioner Babson made it very succinct that they wish to keep the hay fields here.
Mhm.
And unless that changes during election season, who knows? So I don't know how big we want to get. I mean, I understand, but Frank's verbiage in the back of my
Yeah.
head keeps saying that unless we know what the stakeholders want in this area, we can put everything out on the table. There's no guarantee, live free or die, that they're going to even buy into it. So if you can't even get your own local county farms involved in it, your county farmers involved, because they see their market where their market is, we may just be spinning our wheels.
Well, that brings up another point that I wanted to get into as well. And I don't mean to digress because I do want to discuss this a little further. But two of the other things that come out of the conversation that I had with both William Abbott, Miss Jessie, and I also talked with Rebecca Brown, and who for a number of years has been the executive director of the Ammonoosuc Conservation Trust, which is up in the Littleton, Franconia, Sugar Hill area. I had a long conversation with her the other day as well. And the three of them, and what was interesting is, as you may recall at our last meeting, Frank Riley made what I thought was an interesting observation. And he said, I have no data, no surveys to back any of this up. He says, but my sense is, in talking with some of the farmers on the Carroll County Farm Bureau, is that some of them are very content and satisfied with where they are. They really don't want to expand their operations. He says they've worked hard to create their own retail marketing network. He says in that respect, some of them may see our effort as competition. He says, I think some of them might be concerned about increasing their production and now having to sell it wholesale rather than retail. He says, I'm just passing on some of these concerns that I have. When I talked with both William, Jesse, and Rebecca, they all said the same thing, and I found that interesting. Now, Rebecca, I don't know if she was a part of it, but she has the history. A number of years back up in Lancaster, they created a processing center. And they did this because the farmers assured them that they would support the processing center, but they didn't, and it failed. And she says, I don't know what the answer is. She says, but I'm just passing that on. That's history, that's a fact. So as I got thinking about this, and believe me, I'm not discouraged, but I think another whole issue has arisen here. And that issue is, if we cannot, and you just made a reference, if we cannot get the farm community in Carroll County to support this, we're dead in the water. This is going nowhere. And so it is crucial, which is why you and I talked about this, the farm survey. So I think it is crucial that we get a sense of the thinking of the farm community here in Carroll County. I'm not interested in what the thinking is of the farm community in Oxford County, Maine, or the farm community in Grafton County, Maine, or Coas County. I'm interested in the farm community here in Carroll County. From our perspective, this is the nucleus of what we're trying to do. This is our charge and mandate. But I think it's important to know what the thinking and the sentiment is of the farm community in Carroll County. And so the food hubs, the marketing and distribution, the processing, all of that is wonderful. But if the farm community says we couldn't care less, then we've got a major problem. And what Rebecca Brown said, and I thought it was interesting because Frank Riley had made the comment, they both said, you got to understand, these farmers are pretty independent people. How we could get them to cooperate and to pool all of this energy and resources and so forth into this, that's our challenge. That is our challenge right there. So as I thought about that, I began to take a look at your survey, which is why I said, let's talk about that survey. The last thing I want to do is to spend money foolishly. I don't care whether it's county tax money or whether it's grant money. I don't want to spend money in which we already have the answer. And the answer is that anything they propose is dead on arrival. So we've got to get a sense first, I think, of how much support there is in the farm community here in Carroll County. That's just my own thinking, and I would welcome your thoughts of the two of you.
Well, I agree with that, and I guess it even came more to home because up my way,
Yep.
in West Ossipee now, in a month or so, there's going to be a venue opening right on Route 16 that's called Farm to Table.
Yep.
And not only are they serving meals there, but they're also going to sell fresh produce.
Where's this going to be on?
Right across from Hobbs.
Okay, great.
Going the other way on Route 25
Yep.
in South Tamworth.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know where the South Tamworth post office is.
Yes, I do.
It's across the street from that used to be a toy shop.
Yes, okay.
That is opening up
Okay.
into a farm.
Yep.
Farm wholesales.
Yep.
On my own street,
Getting closer to home.
there is a person who just opened up a huge winery.
Okay.
They do most of their sales through the internet.
Yep.
So I see people developing their own marketing
Yes.
mechanisms. So I'm not sure where bringing in someone from the northern country and stuff like that. I had someone the other day tell me that one of the stores in North Conway approached them and they will take anything and everything they can give them, from blueberries to maple syrup to honey to fresh greens to anything, just to sell in their store. So I guess my feel is we need to know what the farmers have here already.
Yep.
And if they're not willing to support something major as far as the Kindle,
Yep.
then we need to shift our focus on what can these county grounds produce to offset taxpayer.
Yep.
That's where I think we're at, rather than going huge regionals.
Without taking money from the pockets of private enterprise.
Right.
Yep. What was interesting, and I'm digressing here, but I think there's no doubt some local farmers have been very effective in retailing their own produce. Yesterday was my wife's birthday, so we took her out to dinner. And the restaurant we went to was very upscale up in Jackson. And on the menu, they listed all of the farms, the local farms, that they were buying produce from. They listed every one of them. And so there is no doubt this is getting out. I've been told it's either 21 or 23 independent restaurants in the Mount Washington Valley some are starting to buy local. But again, in talking with people, the biggest problem is
Supply.
they can't come close. The farmers who sell it to them can't come close in meeting the demand. So the irony is, it's not a question of the market not being there. It's a question, how do we get it from the farm to the plate? And so my very limited research and conversations having with people is the mixed message. It's out there. The market is out there. But the question is, how do we get it to farmers so that the farm community can make money on this deal? And that is the question.
But in one
Henry,
sense,
go ahead, you
in
talk.
one sense, they're succeeding at a lot of that on their own, and they'll work these problems out.
Yes.
When I'm listening to the Kendall Foundation, with his discussion,
Yep.
he wasn't talking about roadside stands, he was talking about selling 100,000 pounds of produce to the university systems.
That's right.
And in that sense, that kind of market, and what I found really interesting, what you said, is when the discussion coming back from the people actually growing the crops is that they could be maximizing their labor already, and they're getting retail for it.
Yep.
To ask somebody to, put in another 40% of the acreage or take over rent acreage someplace else to sell it 40% less than they were getting the other thing. So what really strikes me about this is what Kendall Group is offering is the ability to get these huge industrial markets, which there's a fair amount of stability in that. And I mean, weather's weather, farming is farming. There's no stability in farming, in my opinion, to begin with. But given a good year, I can move this much product. And they don't have to put the effort into selling it, but you need a place to process. And that's what I see here. I mean, I've been thinking about this at home, and it strikes me is that if I was to think about what would be the first thing I would try to do to get the county to improve the agricultural economy in Carroll County, is to take advantage of the building structures. I wouldn't worry so much about what can be grown in the county. It's how to utilize the buildings that we have. Because I know at the walk that both Pete Benson and Andy Kendall were just flipped out by the buildings we had.
Yep.
And they didn't even go inside them. They just looked at the square footage of roof space.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
I mean,
the only building we were inside was the greenhouse
right, but,
down
I mean,
there.
but they looked at the old nursing home and they just lit up because they understand it. What I hear them talking about isn't roadside stands. It's 150 pounds of green beans a week. That's what I see them talking about. And that's a totally different market from what the farmers are succeeding at now, and it's wonderful to hear, you know, the fact that restaurants are working with them and all that, but what you're talking about there is, I don't want to say small scale in the sense of acreage, but small scale in the sense of labor applied to an acre. It's fairly small scale, because it's a family and a couple of employees and some really expensive equipment, right? But it's not maximizing the use that can come out of the land necessarily. So the strong point that I see here is what Kendall's offered. I've said it before, is the scale that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Kendall Group's basic principle is it isn't to help. It is that farmers get help by this, but they're looking at producing X percentage locally in the entire New England area. That's their goal, right? And that helps small farmers, you can help big farmers, you can help everything else, but the way that they're going about that, and everything I heard him mention, was the scale of the markets that they know exist and that they can plug into, because we beat the existing market on transportation costs. There's this 12% margin kicking around in this business, or maybe 8%, I don't know what the fuel percentage is of the market, but that's a critical percentage in business, because a good business makes 12% profit on whatever it took in a year. That's a really good business. And if you've got 3% of your stuff is transportation, and you can reduce that by 1, you went from 12% profit to 13% profit. You know, it doesn't sound like much to people, but when you're in business, a 1% change in your profit can be huge.
See, I also go back to Andy Kendall, who said at this point in time, woodlots are not producing as much as farmland is. Could this area be an incubator for people? I mean, as you said, the normal farmer is 65 years old. If they don't pass it down to their family, or their family doesn't want it, you see that farm die. There's a lot of young people trying to start farms now. There's a couple in Melvin Village that leases a lot of farm field so they can farm. But at the same point, this county has no leasable land to say to a young, as the incubator is up in Conway, start your business here and then you can broaden out once you get your feet wet. On this county complex, we have so many acreages of land, but none of it is leasable land.
Why not?
Because it's timber.
Or it's hayfield.
Or it's hayfield.
Well, I mean,
What have we got? Between 70 and 90 acres of agricultural land here, I think. I think I saw 80.
Counting the hayfields.
Okay, and that includes everything, the hayfields and everything else. But one of the things you also may remember was when Andy Kendall was talking about high value versus low value, he commented on how hay was a low value product.
Correct, along with wood product.
Along with wood. So, I mean, so if we want to just focus on what is going to be the best return on an acre of land, following on Andy Kendall, it's not going to be hay. It's going to be something else. So, and now that's just a comment to follow through on what he said. So, if in fact we've got 80 acres here, and we can convert some of those 80 acres into high value crops, then we're ahead of the game.
Or even greenhouse growing.
Greenhouse
like he
growing.
said, put up greenhouse, something you can sustain year round and produce.
Exactly.
He looked at the building down there and said that building, the red building, it used to hold cattle, I don't know what it holds now. 150, 200 chickens in there if somebody wanted to start their chicken business up, and they could supply
restaurants and.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
and
Right,
schools
you know,
and stuff.
I say that, and I want to follow through. I made the comment before, but let me follow through in that. This is, you know, connecting the farmer with restaurants, schools, and other operations. In fact, when we had a meeting here with one of the representatives from Wakefield, he has a restaurant, he made the comment, and others have made the comment, is they like to buy locally. They would prefer to buy locally for a lot of reasons. Right now, if nothing else, psychologically, from a marketing, public relations point of view, a lot of people like to go into a restaurant, you know, they're buying local food. It's a touchy-feely feel-good. Now, is it healthier, but the transportation, the distance, and everything else. But the problem is, the farmers individually cannot produce enough on a consistent volume to feed that restaurant. They just can't do it. And this is the problem. And that representative made that comment, and others have made the comment. I will buy locally, but if I need 150 dozen eggs a week, I've got to get 150 dozen eggs a week.
And they need them in March.
Yes,
Exactly.
and they
They
need
them
it in
year-round.
February, right.
Exactly. So this is the problem. There's no doubt. Does that mean it's not doable? Absolutely not. But what it means is we've got to recognize there are issues and problems here. And to me, listening to all of this, the bottom line is, if we want to get the county farm community more invested and involved in this thing, we've got to be able to give them answers to some of the basic questions and problems they've got.
Was there any reason given why when they had that food distribution center or processing center up in Amanuset, why, I mean, you told because the farmers didn't support it, was there any reason that they didn't?
See,
live up
that's
to
it,
their-
and that's an excellent question, Henry, and I don't have an answer.
Well, I didn't know if you had time to ask.
Yeah, well, I did, but she wasn't actively involved in that at the
She just
time.
knew
So-
it didn't work.
So she said, all I know is it didn't work.
Right.
The farm community, they went on the basis that based on the commitment of the farmers up there, that they would support it, and for reasons which nobody ever took the time to find out, they didn't.
So you're not
They
even
couldn't.
aware of what the market was that this processing center was?
I don't. It was,
Okay, all right.
we have to take a look at a map of Lancaster and the towns
Yeah.
around it.
It
and say,
strikes me
okay.
that that's the kind of question the Kindle Group can answer pretty easily.
Well, I would
why
hope.
these things fail and don't.
Yeah, I would hope.
Yeah.
But, and there was also one in Epsom, in that field as well.
Well,
So,
one of the things that Frank brought home very clearly,
Yeah.
and I know this,
Yep.
is that, one, farming's not cheap. But two, as he said, most farmers will not expand most farmers that
They
are
don't have the
present.
labor for it.
Well, they don't have the
One-
labor,
that's a
and
good
they don't
point.
have
We
the
don't.
money.
yeah.
Because, as he said, who's going to invest $60,000 in your farm when you know you won't recoup that in your lifetime?
Yeah, no, I'd love to
So-
try to build a two-story chicken coop like they used to have and supply eggs and stuff like that, but I don't have the investment.
Right.
for it. That's where.
That's
looking
where-
at This farm could be, is
Right.
to say, okay, this is a business startup, we give you at least for 5 years at this price, then it's gonna go up to the point that it's cheaper for you to build one on your own. So
Well, see, that-
once you've got the money to do it, you've developed your market.
Yeah.
And if you really look at the Franklin County, and like I said, I took some of their
Yeah,
questions,
yeah.
but if you look at that Franklin County survey, 75% of them said the reason that they don't expand what they're doing, and this is a much bigger county than we are, is the cost factor.
Yeah.
The labor cost, the lay of the land, the inability, and then that's why they got into questions which I didn't get into. Would you be willing to rent or share equipment?
Right.
Would you be willing to rent or share labor? Would
And
you
what
be
they
willing? About 50% of them said yes.
Yes.
That was their main problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you go out and buy a tractor for $40,000 and you only get to use it 3 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking this group was looking towards for the county here, was like an incubator. Okay, you don't have the funds
Yeah.
to start up. And I think Cheshire, that's where their dairy thing failed. The first group that went in there is because they didn't realize the time, the effort, and the amount of cost. Because Cheshire had a dairy group come in. Just their first one that went in, and I don't think they realized it. Whereas if you can get the Young Farmers Association, I mean, I was amazed when Ed and them held their meeting up to the Remick Farm, that the Remick Farm, for students that want to be in 4-H, the agricultural side, and don't have any place to raise animals, Remick's Farm lets them use their animals for their 4-H project.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I look at this as should we not also try to do the same thing? For young farmers, young people moving up here, the other day there was an ad that somebody was looking for 10 acres of land. They were requesting 10 acres of land because they wanted to start farming.
Yeah,
They got 5 or 6 replies because a lot of the land up here that's not already being used as farmland is woodlot. And they were looking to come up and start acreage in farming. But we don't, at this point, this county does not have, other than the hayfields, this county does not have any leasable land for agricultural purposes. We have big
Yeah.
woodlots. I mean, Andy Kendall himself said at this point you ought to clear another 15, 20 acres when we did our tour
Yeah.
of woodlot and put it back into usable agricultural land.
yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen down
Well,
here.
not unless
Go
we
ahead.
have demand
Yeah.
exceeding supply.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. What is the tease here in all of this? And is the fact of the matter is that we run a huge, what I call, food deficit here in Carroll County. To say that the market is not here for us to grow more of our food is just not true at all. We produce very little of the food that we consume on an annual basis.
Right.
The market is there. The question is, what do we need to put in place to make it profitable for local farmers to move forward to meet more of that need? That's the question.
That's the Kendall Group's expertise, isn't it?
What's that?
That's the Kendall Group's expertise, isn't it?
Well, I don't think so. I don't
No,
think it is at
they're
all.
more into
Yeah.
industrial.
Yeah,
supply.
I really don't think so, Henry. And in fact, and I'm digressing here and I apologize for that. What I got today was a study that was done in March 2016. You can't get much more current than that. And this study was done by the ASPA for the Upper Saco Valley Land Trust. And it's a local food system evaluation. I have not had a chance to really review it. But this is primarily the basic, not a survey, but the feasibility study that we're trying to get done. It's already done for us. And here's the executive summary. So what are they recommending going forward? What a surprise. Production and housing, promote enterprise viability. Strengthen the efforts of an already formed collaborative of growers. Well, we're talking about forming a collaborative of growers. Processing, distribution, and marketing. Well, who ever heard about that before, huh? Consumption, grow the market share. Wow, what a surprise that is. Nutrient and waste management, food waste production. System-wide network leadership. That's some of their summary. There's exactly 25 pages here. This is a feasibility study. And one of the reasons I got here earlier, Ken, I was going to ask, but I wasn't going to interrupt your lunch, is if you could make some copies of this,
Sure.
so that we can hand this out to everybody. This is your assignment. But this is basic, and it's March 2016. Thank you very.
In one sense, we do have.
Get one for everybody here. Thank you.
In one sense, we
Good.
do have collaboratives. I mean, I think you're saying they're opening up all these places. It's a group of people that are going to supply the food for that. They may
Exactly.
They don't have letterhead, but they're.
Now,
an informal
what I found
collaborative.
interesting is, and again, I'm jumping around a little bit. You had emailed me about this, Becky. Several days back, I found the Carroll County chapter of the Small and Beginner Farmers of New Hampshire.
One-time farms.
Yes, and I emailed her.
I emailed her a month ago and haven't heard anything, but I know where
Right.
she
Yeah.
arises every Saturday. I just haven't had a
Yeah.
chance to get down there.
So what to me that raised again, the point is,
They're busy.
Well, I know they're all busy. I know that, but again, and there was somebody else that I tried to get in touch with who again did not get back to me. But I found that study very, very interesting. That was a feasibility study, and so. We can talk about this all afternoon, and I've got to leave by 3. But what I would like to do is, I would like to discuss the farmer survey here, because I think this, as we look at this to
Do you
me,
have a copy first?
I sure do.
I have my own, but.
Yep. Okay. I looked at this a little bit, and let's get down through it because there are a couple of questions that I would like to see us add to this as well.
Oh, theirs didn't print. I have mine on.
I got 2 of them.
Oh, sorry.
That's why.
Okay. You had sent this out via email as well, so.
Right, and I sent Ken a copy too.
Okay,
So he asked
okay.
me for a copy to make
Uh,
copies. I mean, this is a very rough, it could get much more detailed, but I was trying to hit the high points. We can always get more detailed,
Yep.
but I was trying to keep it within I mean, the survey from Franklin County was 8 pages long.
Yeah.
To
I think
give
you
us a
lose people. I
start-
think you lose people after a while.
To give us a start, to at least see where they're coming from.
Yep.
And it can be added to, subtracted from, do whatever you want.
Just a quick question before we even get into this, is what is your thinking, how do we distribute this? How do we get this to the 300 plus or minus farmers that are out there?
I think there are more than 300 plus minus farmers. Because
Okay.
I think, I mean, no offense, I could consider myself a farmer. I've been producing enough stuff all summer long.
Okay,
That I could set it next to the road and sell it myself. So,
Yeah.
And then it's, what do you consider a farm? Is it just people growing crops? Is it people with honey? Is it people? So there is a wide connotation when you say farmers nowadays.
if you have a family that basically has been farming for years, but the food is just for their own consumption, would you call them a farmer? Because there's no selling, there's no retail.
I don't count myself as a farmer, but
Yeah.
as I was looking at this,
Yeah.
I got to thinking, there are people that grow, that do the wineries. That basically is an agricultural type farmer.
Yep.
They're now going to allow, is it wine tasting that just got passed down at the, is it wine tasting that they just added to the farmers markets down in Concord?
That's correct.
So my idea is to use Frank Riley to get to his group.
Yes.
But also I think we're going to have to hit the farmers markets.
Yep.
And then like myself, I know different individuals in the towns that don't participate, because I didn't realize farmers markets were selective on what they allowed in their markets, because you actually have to have an application and then they decide if they want your product. So I individually know of some people that don't participate in farmers markets, but they sell out their goods. So I think again, with our original thought was, if we could get a site, even if it's, I hate to say Survey Monkey or something like that, but get it in the paper where they can respond.
Yep.
Get it to Frank Riley's group.
Yep.
Get it to the farmers markets.
Yep.
And say, if you're a member of the, don't duplicate it.
Yeah.
And then let them go and get it to anybody else that they think, let us know, anybody else that they think there might be contact with, like the young farmers.
Yeah.
Young farmers they may not have enough money to join the big farm group, but we could cross-reference it if we could get a list. Like I emailed the Carroll County Farm Association and asked if I could have a list of their farms. I didn't ask for members, I just asked for the farms.
Yeah.
Never got a response.
Yeah.
So we're sort of hand-tied here of where are the farms, and, apple orchards are considered farms.
Yeah. I would consider that.
There's so much out there that's farms.
Anybody that's growing a food, that's a broad range.
Well, just
Livestock,
in a sense.
vegetables, fruit, it's growing food that they sell, to me as a farmer.
Yeah, you call it a farm survey, we could, in one sense, to answer sort of that
Agricultural survey.
agricultural survey.
And that's what I just put this on so
Yeah.
I could save it, so I agree with you, it's an agricultural survey.
Yeah. Would we call somebody who basically every spring harvests maple syrup from the trees, would we consider them a farmer?
Right.
Okay.
Well, no offense, somebody that's in firewood production
Mm-hmm.
is considered an agricultural.
Yep. Okay.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I look at it, I'm 65, my wife's gonna retire at 62, and we look at what we have saved up in income, and I see, it'd be nice to get like an extra $2,000 a year. And so I'm looking at, I've got one place on my property, and I have a friend that's got a really nice sunny spot. I said, well, I'd be perfectly happy to grow $3,000 worth of raspberries a year.
Yeah.
But it's important income to me, because that's the money to eat out, go to a movie now and then,
Yeah,
buy a toaster when it breaks, that kind of, because the rest of it I got covered, being alive, dry, warm, and happy. But it'd be nice just this little bit of income coming in.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's just an agricultural pursuit. I wouldn't call myself a farmer if I was selling $2,000 worth of raspberries, but it is an agricultural
But
pursuit.
you sold more than the county did on blueberries.
Yeah, well.
Do you have a comment you want to make?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, you also have soon, up and coming, because it will happen, when cannabis is legalized, you will be growing medicine, and when hemp is legalized, construction material.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of
Exactly.
local, and that will really get the economy going.
That'll bring in a lot of money.
Tax is gonna go
Yeah, we're talking about big
I got my
Boston market.
greenhouses already.
It's really funny because even the Lysum up in Tamworth, Now, if
The
you
what
did,
up in Canada?
Is it
The Lyceum.
the
Oh, is that
Lyceum?
the mushroom?
No, that's the mushroom factories on the
Oh,
other side.
okay.
The Lyceum is a distillery. In their back, they have raised beds that they grow hops because they distill.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's almost endless, but as many avenues as we can.
Well, you go to Tractor Supply places, Clark's grain stores, all the places that people that are in agricultural pursuits shop for stuff to, continue that program.
I mean, if we could work with people to say, it may get done multiple times, that's the only problem, but I really don't think we can rely on UNH to send out a survey for us.
No.
I hate
But they
to.
can post it on their webpage.
They can post it on their webpage.
I like the idea of having the survey in the newspapers too.
Well, if you could tie
that
up a
again.
Survey Monkey, and I mean, if I have to, I'll foot the bill for the $49 to allow us, 500 surveys to come through it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
at some point,
Okay.
I think we need to get a feel of what's going on in Carroll County
No.
before we decide to branch out.
Well.
And it may be nothing more than looking the front. I mean, I would like to see some incubator projects down here. I keep looking at
Yeah.
that hoop house down there with 4,000 pepper
Yeah.
plants in it, and I'm thinking, on the opposite side of that, if you put in a stainless steel table with benches, with plot holes, and ran the nutrients, you could have grown 400 heads of lettuce in there by now,
Mhm.
and never even touched the
Yeah.
experiment. I cannot believe UNH has a agricultural program and we can't get any students up here to participate.
Have we ever tried?
Yes.
Well, do we want to keep going over this?
Well,
Yes,
that's
we
what I'm
do.
saying.
You had.
Here, just one final thought. Write this thought down before I forget it.
Okay, sir.
The first step in any process is the talk, the brainstorm, the discussion. And I think once that starts, it snowballs into action. Instead of just a survey, what about holding a regional farm talk? Farm talk, that's it. It doesn't mean that you have to do anything, but if you're a farmer or if you want to be a farmer, you show up in a room like this around a circular table and you talk about farm stuff and bring these items up. Once you have 15 to 20, 25 people in a room, you'd be amazed on how everyone's brain power together comes up with ideas. And at least you'll have instead of just a sterile survey, you're going to be doing what we should be doing, which is in person talking to one another.
Well, we could do both. We could do the invitation and hand them the survey at that point. The problem is the timing, because I don't know about you, but the farmers I know are up to their eyeballs. So you're putting off at least, and I agree. Do we really need to hire somebody to come in here to set up listening sessions? Because I don't think we do.
Well, the thing is, believe me, I'm not going to sit here and challenge Andy Kendall. What he has done is just
I agree.
Overwhelming, and we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Andy Kendall's work. But as I talk with farmers, and as Henry said, he's looking at this thing on a much bigger scale than we could ever attempt to do. So what I'm thinking is taking his wonderful ideas, his energy and so forth, saying, okay, how do we apply that to our situation right here? And some of it may have to be modified. It may have to be experimented with a little bit. And as I say, but the last thing that I want to do, and as I've said this before, I hate making assumptions about anything. And I don't want to spend people's money on assumptions. And as I said, and as I've talked, Frank Riley, to me, the comments that he made that day, that light went on to me. I'm thinking, is he speaking for just himself, or is this an issue? And then in talking with William Abbott, and talking with Jesse, and talking with Rebecca Brown, they're all saying the same thing. We were making assumptions. We were assuming that if they build this, they will come. But there's a history out there that it was built and no one showed up for the party. And that I don't want to do. Because we'll kill ourselves. We've got some tremendous ideas here. There is tremendous energy sitting in this room. And I want to utilize that in the most effective, productive way we can. And what that means is we may have to change in midstream where our focus is as we learn more things. And we continue learning more things. So let's get back to the survey, because go ahead, okay. We've changed it from farmer survey to agricultural survey, all right? It's more encompassing, it's broader in that scope, okay. Where's your farm primarily located? I like that. How old are you? Again, we're getting to the demographics. Is the age gonna be an issue here as it is nationally? How
And
many?
they may not answer it, which they have the
Yeah,
right to.
what we gotta understand, there may be some questions people aren't gonna answer at all. Is this a family farm, new farm? Okay. How many acres of farmland do you have in the following? Good. What production are currently grown or raised on your farm? Which means they could be leasing out other land. So if we call it, they're leasing 5 acres across the street from a neighbor, that's not on their land, or is leased land included as well? On your farm, or leased,
Well, if
should
you
we
want to
add,
get
or
rid of the
leased?
your farm and you're just trying to find out, because,
Yeah, we can get rid of it on your farm.
Well,
Just
no,
how many products are you currently
Yeah,
growing?
marketing.
right. Right,
Growing
yeah.
and marketing.
Because if someone, you had mentioned, Becky, that more and more people are now leasing land, and if they say, well, gee, they're just talking about what's raised on my land.
Yep.
They don't want the
Yeah,
20
growing.
acres that I'm leasing out.
Growing and marketing.
Yes. Currently grown or raised, or marketing, yes, okay.
And again, we'll take out by your farm, we'll just, on number 3, what was the total market value of agricultural products sold?
Yes.
In 215, and we'll just take out by your farm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, that you sold.
yeah, okay. Okay, where are your products sold? I like that, now we're getting directly. Okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to add to that
Okay.
first page?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
And I'll say, does your farm product, where we're trying to get away from that single farm.
Well, it's just a do you sell, donate, do you?
Yeah, yeah. I think, and that's
Oh,
fairly
that's
generic.
good.
I don't think, we were not talking specifically about what they're growing.
Yeah.
But what do you do with it? So I think that,
Do you sell
I think that's all
or
right.
donate?
Yeah,
Any products.
Yep.
okay.
Now, you guys can help me out with certification, because I could only find a few in this state. One is organic, one's the SNAP program. Do you know of any other certification that people have in this area that they would put on there?
Organic? Are you talking about that, Becky?
Yeah,
Or-
well, no, yeah, certification, like, is it most people here don't have an agricultural survey. I mean,
Yeah.
they can sell low volume without having it,
Thank you very much.
USDA
I
inspected and
appreciate
stuff.
that.
Do you know of any other certifications there are? Only 2 I could find was organic and then SNAP program, if you're certified through the SNAP program.
Becky,
No,
would
I
you-
don't.
View and for Henry. This is that study.
Thank you.
Will, do you know of any other certifications that they might be certified in to sell product? I've got SNAP and I've got organic. That's the only 2 I could find when I asked for certifications in the state of New Hampshire. If it's not huge, like USDA certifying their meat or something, but they have to be a fairly large
Well, they're
grower
gonna
to do
start doing
that.
GMO certification.
Yeah, GMO,
Thanks to
but I don't think
Vermont.
they have it yet.
Whether,
One of the other sections, you're probably, an organization that I've been helping with that you're gonna see is Homegrown by Heroes. It's a veteran farmer organization, and they're certifying their products as homegrown by Heroes, so HVH or something like that. There's only one in the state right now, and it's not in our county, but
Okay.
it's something that you may see grow in the future for.
Can you flesh that out for me a little bit, Will? What's that do? What's that all about?
if you're
There's
a
a
vet,
Farmer Veteran Coalition. It's an organization, it's a nationwide organization, and each state has their own chapter.
Yeah,
And New Hampshire is in the midst of organizing its own chapter right now, as a matter of fact. Maine just did recently, Vermont has one, most of the New England states do. And it helps bring in resources for veterans that are farmers, or veterans that could look at going into the career of farming. So they're trying to help transition a lot of veterans that are coming out of the military, and they feel that a lot of them are well suited for being farmers within our nation to help fill that void of the retiring one.
okay, so this is a veterans-focused group then?
Yeah, it's,
Okay,
there's a
all
lot
right.
of other programs out there that are helping with this.
Yeah.
But it's a mentorship type thing. It's also got some grant type availabilities for different farmer veterans. But one of the big things that's probably going to start to see grow, there's a meeting, matter of fact, at the end of this month that I'm going to, about getting the New Hampshire chapter. But Maine's just exploded within like 2 years. And the amounts, you wouldn't believe how many farmers are veterans out there, and then to get their product labeled as a homegrown by heroes, it's just another marketing tool.
Yep.
So when people go to a farmer's market and they see that symbol, they know that they're supporting a veteran at the same time as supporting a local farmer. So that's something that you probably see explode in the next few years. As the New Hampshire's organization gets put together, you're probably going to see those explode and get common in New Hampshire, as did Maine.
Do they offer any startup programs, any financial aid or anything like that? Find leased land, rent out equipment? Is there anything like that? Or are these basically dealing with established farms already that veterans
No,
have?
they're helping a lot of new ones.
Yeah.
I don't fully know all the details exactly. There's the August 26th. There's basically an introduction to it in a meeting up at a farm up in the North Country, and I'm probably going to be going to that. And it's kind of, they want to just get everybody there, explain what the organization is, and then try to get some help. I've only been to one or two meetings so far about it, with a lot of outside resources that they're trying to bring in and get the New Hampshire chapter going. There's a Maine chapter, like I said, and they're the leader of that is actually going to be coming to the New Hampshire one. So all of what they offer, I'm still not fully, I don't fully understand it all yet. I'm learning bits and bits as I go to each meeting, but there are a lot of if you can look it up, if you Google Farmer Veteran Coalition, when you go home, Google that, and that gives you the national website, and it'll tell you a lot about what they offer for that organization.
Would you be willing, after that meeting, to come back and give us a report on that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Can I have a couple more copies of the survey?
I'm sorry.
Could I have a couple more copies of the survey?
You sure can. You came to the
Well, I
right
think
place.
Ken and Will ought to have a copy.
Yeah.
See,
Second,
and in Franklin County in Massachusetts, they have a.
Do you want a copy of this too, Ken? Did you? This is the survey, looking at it?
I have an electronic copy. of it.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, you said they were talking about that in Massachusetts?
They have a certification called Food for Families. Same
Oh,
sort
okay.
of type program that farmers are growing for certain neighborhoods of families. And once they get that certification, it's called Food for Families. But in our state, all I could find was organic in the SNAP program in this area. Unless you're so big, you get USDA inspected and stuff,
Right.
so. Okay, so we'll move on with that, and I'll just leave those, and
Okay.
people can write in anything else.
All right, we're down to processing of product here now.
And where is your produce? I just give it a form again.
Where's your produce process? Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing, what are the barriers of you selling more products
Yeah,
in Carroll County
I think this is
instead of your farm?
important. I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
this-
yeah,
Since we're taking
to
out it as
you
a
selling,
farm survey.
to you selling.
yeah. And then underneath number 2 there, instead of need more help, I use the term labor.
Yeah. Let's talk about this for a
One other
second.
thing, barrier is water.
Oh, yeah.
Water? Okay.
I mean, the ability to do drip irrigation and stuff depends on X percentage of pressure
Yeah.
you can get in your lines and stuff like that. If I did that, maybe water/irrigation, because it's kind
Okay.
of the same thing.
I can
100
do
gallons
that.
of water can be used different ways.
Yeah. Now, you notice in this, we don't have, this is what are the barriers to you selling more product in Carroll County? We don't talk about marketing, we don't talk about processing there. Farm's too small for processing.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
But,
I could put no processing available,
okay,
or
yeah,
availability of processing.
yeah.
I'll add that.
Yeah, let's put that rather than farm is too small for processing. Let's just make it more generic, availability of processing.
It's funny because that was one of the main questions that was answered.
Availability of processing?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah,
It's
Makes
funny
sense.
because on the Franklin survey, that was the most answered question there was, farm is too small for processing.
interesting.
Because 80% of their farmers said their farms were too small for
Yeah.
processing.
It's interesting that when I was talking with Jesse this morning, that was a comment that she made. We talking about the processing in the distance travel for the processing. And she says, every farmer wants the processing on their own property. And it was funny, one of the farmers that I had talked to, we were talking about processing, they made the same comment, I want the processing on my own property. Well, that's just not gonna happen. But the thing, I found it very interesting. Okay, availability of processing. Yeah, we could leave in the farm is too small for processing, but maybe the availability is a little more generic.
The only reason, I'll
Yeah.
put both, but the only reason I put that in there is because if we do find out that they all are so small that they don't feel that they can process, that's gonna be a major hurdle in this area, because you'll never do enough processing, like Andy said.
Yeah.
You need to have, if you get 16,000 pounds of tomatoes, you need to have a way to process them to make sure they're available in March, not just in our short growing
Exactly,
season.
no, exactly. On question number 2, do we feel, because as we've talked about, what we're trying to get a sense of is not only the scope of the farm community and what the size of it and so forth, but also what do they need to become more profitable? And I think in many instances we talk about the labor, we talk about equipment, heating facilities so they can extend their growing season, costs and so forth. Do we feel that those questions basically are hitting at the heart of this thing? Somebody could answer these questions, and could they still not feel that these are really addressing some of their concerns? Should we have something else here that says other?
Sure.
We want to be sure, to me, this is the key question.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to get them involved?
I thought I had another on
The
there.
question right now is, it talks about selling, and I'm just wondering whether or not, are we actually talking about selling or producing?
I could put selling/producing.
Yeah, well,
Or do you want to
you
just
could
put
have a different
producing?
answer to each of those questions.
Okay,
on
one
different
separate
form.
then?
Well, I don't know, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just bringing it up because
Yeah.
this is the first place that we specifically mentioned Carroll County.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I'm perfectly happy with that, but what I'm really just wondering about when you're talking about these barriers,
We can do it. We can make them separate if you want. Because all I'll do is columnize this into 3 columns
okay,
and
well,
it'll
I'm
give us
just wondering,
space.
do you think it's worth trying
Yeah.
to make a distinction between the
Yes.
production of and the selling
Yes,
of?
yeah,
Okay.
All right, so what are the barriers
Yeah.
to you selling more product and what are the barriers of
Yeah.
you producing?
Right,
Yeah.
and looking at the differences in those might be kind of
Okay.
informational.
I'll make it work. What I was saying is we can expand this as much
Drafts
as
and
we
drafts,
want.
yeah, I understand.
I was
drafts,
trying to
but-
keep it to 1 page
Yeah,
because
right,
I know
yeah.
once you start getting a survey that's 8, 9
Yeah.
pages long, people don't want to participate.
And I
So we'll
thought
get
here
that in
too,
there.
do we want to have a box underneath there that says, that basically says comments?
Yeah, we may go to 3 pages and
Yeah,
that's fine.
that's
3
okay.
pages is better
Yeah.
than 5, but that's fine.
Yeah. I would just like that question to be as complete as we can possibly make it. We really want to get a sense of what their thinking is. What's it going to take to get them to be a player?
So under, rather than just leaving a blank of comments, do we want to say any other important information you'd like to share with us or
Yes,
something like
that's-
that?
That's fine, something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Comments is.
Comments, they just sort of leave it blank,
Yeah.
but any other information
Information.
that we would find helpful?
Yes,
Because
yes,
one
that's
of the
good, I
things
like that.
when I was looking at this as farms selling more products, and we were thinking of things that hinder it, is just distance from additional markets is something that I've actually heard mentioned in a couple of places. Is, you know, we've got this huge demand for stuff, but it's not worth it for this guy to load a pickup truck, drive to Boston, sell $600 worth of stuff, lose a day on the farm, and drive back home.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a
yeah.
nice, $600 is
Yeah.
a nice bunch of money, but your cost of production is so high.
Say
Now-
that again, how did you say that, distance?
Distance to additional markets.
Distance to additional markets, okay.
As I mentioned in an email, next Tuesday, this other group is having a meeting, and one of the people there is going to be Julie Moran from Coos County.
Mhm.
And she has created a farmers co-op up there. And twice a week, she goes around to the farms in a refrigerated pickup truck
Yeah.
and picks up their produce.
I think she tried that down here. in New York.
She's got a couple of farms down here, but I don't know how it's working,
Yeah.
Henry, but she does have a couple of farms down here.
Yeah.
And she's going to be at this meeting.
Well,
Needless
no,
to
the
say-
reason is that it didn't work particularly well for her down here is that they were doing so well selling off the end of their driveway.
Oh, okay.
And,
Yeah, they
you know,
didn't need it.
The local, but you go up to Coos, the
Yeah,
local market,
yeah,
the
yeah.
population is pretty low.
And she is distributing to some of the restaurants here
Yeah.
in the upper end of the county.
Yeah.
So I'm understood, and hopefully I got it correctly, they've just bought their second refrigerator pickup truck.
Yeah.
So they're expanding.
Yeah.
And, but
one
there's a
farm-
history. I'm
One
sorry.
farmer down here produces for up there.
They do?
Mhm.
Okay,
The
Yeah.
Bear Farm produces chickens for up their co-op,
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
and that's located in Tamworth.
okay.
And I see some of the Bartlett farmers are participating in that as well,
Yeah.
because they've expanded
Yeah.
out.
Well, you know, if we don't, I hate to reinvent the wheel. If somebody's doing something very successful, what can we learn from them? Okay, so, question number 2, what are the barriers to you selling more products in Carroll County? And we've expanded. Okay, question, have we beat that one to death?
And question 3 will be, what are the barriers to producing more product, with the similar
Yes.
answers below it? So
Yes.
the next one will be 4 then.
Yes,
So, number 3, if you would like, that's where we are now.
Yep.
yeah? Run that by me again, Becky, the wording you've changed on that.
For which one?
Well, essentially, we have
Number-
question
question number
2A
3.
now.
Well, we'll have 2 and 3 are going to be the same answers below.
Yeah.
What are the
Okay.
barriers, and then what are
Yeah, yeah,
to producing
Yeah.
or selling? Then question 4 will now be, if you would like to process more of your produce, it should say product.
Product, yeah.
Or we can just take that out completely and say, if you would like to process more of your value-added products, what is keeping you from doing so? Check all that apply.
Yeah.
That's labor, need for money assistance, need for product development, need to find new places to sell, cost versus profit, distance to additional markets, and then other.
Well, the real question here is, it's the value added. That's really what we're talking about,
Mhm.
right? So we're trying to find out what is prohibiting them from adding value. So that's the real question.
Yep.
What
Yep.
prohibits you from adding value to your products, right?
So anything else we want to add there?
okay. So the question is, what is preventing you from adding, what is preventing you from prohibiting you adding value to your products?
Adding value to your
Yeah.
products, right?
What is preventing you?
From adding value to your
Okay.
products?
Hindering,
Yeah,
What barriers?
yeah, that's good, I like that.
Barriers. Okay, continue on.
Yeah.
What barriers
What barriers exist to adding value to your products? What
Exist
barriers exist to adding value to your
to
products?
adding value to your products? Okay.
Right.
Values to your product. Okay, and so we'll scratch that. Anything else? It was labor? need-
Under 3, just the Scribner's thing, the need to money assistance to upgrade, just I think, need to get rid of the first 2. It's just a Scribner's area there. This way, that word right there.
okay.
Need money assistance to upgrade facilities. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just a typo, you know what I mean?
Same thing on question 2 and 3 then. Need upgrade equipment facilities, need money.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to add to this? Any line of inquiry that we feel we missed?
Well, we added, go ahead. No, go ahead.
One thing it'd be nice to know is essentially, is there a agricultural product line you'd like to develop? It's like I'm
Okay,
growing
that's a good
corn, but
question.
I'd like to get
That's a
into
good
eggs.
question.
I'd like to get into eggs, you know, it's just sort of
Okay,
a wish list.
all right.
you know.
Let's have that, that's a good question.
I don't know if it's that important in the sense of adding another question to the list, but it's a nice piece of data to have when we start trying to think of things that we could do here.
Yeah, but we're trying to get as accurate a sense as possible of the thinking of the farm community
Oh, yeah,
in
but
Carroll
no,
County.
but I agree with you, that the length of the question.
No,
yeah.
I think we can add it, but I'm trying to figure out where we want to
Yeah.
add, what
Well,
grouping do you want to add it?
Yeah,
I mean, I've
That's
got
a good
demographics,
question.
I got farm information.
yeah,
We could put
When
it
we start
under,
talking about products and value adding, I'd put it in there someplace.
or we could make it a separate question under other,
yeah,
and then we could put what,
okay,
Yeah, okay.
Okay, rename that, re-say that?
Reword it, Henry.
What products would you, what agricultural products would you like to develop? Agricultural processes, markets, or whatever, but you know.
How about
what-
products, processes would you like to develop?
New is maybe.
Yeah,
added
yeah,
or
what
new.
new,
I
what
mean,
new?
I'm trying to
Right.
make sure that this is something, this is a dream. I'm not doing it now, but boy, would I like to put in a field of radishes.
All right, we'll do that. What added or new agricultural products, process
Yeah.
would you like to
Developed.
develop? And we'll put it in under other,
Yeah.
which under other also, we were gonna put the question in, instead of using the word comment, any other information you feel that would be helpful for CCFA
Right.
to know,
Right.
which is our group.
Yeah.
And I'll put lines under it, and they can feel free to,
Yeah.
whether we can read it might be difficult, but we'll put it in.
We want to leave room here, as mentioned, is a comment box where they can, rather than just checking something off, they can flesh out their answer a little more.
And that's what I say, on the last
Yeah.
on the last section,
Yeah.
I'll put an other.
Yes,
The first
Yeah.
question will be, what added new agricultural products / process would you like to develop?
yeah,
With lines.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the next one will be any other information that you would feel that would be helpful to the CCFA
Yes.
committee to know.
Yeah.
And I'll add lines. So basically,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll give them 5 or 6 lines that they can add in what they want.
Yeah. And Steve, I don't know if this went anywhere, but I used to do a fair amount more than I am now with Lakes Region Planning, and the last year that I was doing a lot with them, they actually had a guy in there was setting up a computer program that listed farmers, you know, markets at the end of your driveway, farm stands and
Yeah.
farmers markets, locations, and then news updates about what crops are in. I don't know if it succeeded. Right, I mean, they had the program done and they were getting people to sign up for it when I left. I don't know if it's something that continued, but that was through Lakes Region Planning, so.
Do you know if they did any follow-up on that, Henry?
Well, I don't, that's what I said.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Could you-
it might
could you-
have died in the water, but if you want, I'll
Yeah,
take a peek.
could you
Yeah.
follow that up and see
Yeah.
if any further study was
Yeah.
done, how successful that was, what the problems and issues were with that?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Why you
Yeah.
failed is a pretty nice answer to
Yeah,
get to.
exactly, exactly. And you know, as Albert Einstein said, one definition of insanity is to keep doing something the
Yeah.
same way and expect a different result.
And that's the other thing is that the CSAs as well. As if you type in CSAs in the state of New Hampshire, there's only 1 to 3 that are listed.
Uh-huh.
But yet Olivia said, oh no, she heads that group, and there's like hundreds of them around
Right.
the county.
Yeah,
Which is a whole nother tap in on, are they where people come in and raise their own crops? Or some of them have switched over
Yeah.
now to we'll raise your crops. I mean, I was looking at Spiderweb, and you can buy different levels at the beginning of spring, and then you just come in and pick up your crops.
Yeah.
You know, they have a $500 level, a $150 level, a $250, depending on how many months you buy.
some are starting to deliver the crops now.
Yeah.
Like we'll deliver Tuesday and Friday.
Sweat Farms does.
Littlefield Farms, yeah, they're doing this.
I mean, there are so many programs available that I think we need to really concentrate on what's available here right now.
Understanding what they are, who they service, and how they go about doing it, and then figuring out
Yeah.
how, what the county can offer to promote that. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to replace it or anything else, but what can we do to make it
Yeah.
more profitable
Yeah.
for you to continue in what you've been
Yeah.
succeeding at?
See, and that's
Problem's
the
gonna
kind
be
of,
labor.
yeah,
Mhm.
see, but you're asking some real good questions here, Henry.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of information we hope to get in the survey.
Yeah.
And so, as I say, as I look at the questions, I'm thinking, okay, is that getting at the guts of this?
Yeah.
So, you know, with someone who's been running a CSA for 3 or 4 years now, with the information, if they bothered to fill out the survey, and hopefully they will they give us that kind of information? Are the questions designed to give us that kind of information? I think they are,
Yeah.
but you know, but that certainly is what we want to get, that kind of
Yeah.
information. What are you doing? How can we help you make it better?
And then on the opposite side, I see, because we didn't ask any questions about the Learning Center here
Yep,
for certain.
yep.
But the opposite side is, also see this as a hub where a local farmer could say, geez, I'm not aware of any grants, like the young gentleman that got the greenhouse grant like we did, who is up in Eaton now producing out of a greenhouse because he got his grant the same way that the grant came down here for the greenhouse, who's a beginning farmer. A lot of these farmers they have their mechanisms, but they're busy working their farms. If we could come to a farmer and say, again, here comes the Andy Kendall Corporation, geez, you know, you're growing 400 fields of radishes, but if we can get investors who will guarantee that we can help you out, would you be willing to grow 400 fields of tomatoes? Because we've got a market for that.
Yeah.
I think that's also ties in with the learning center, that a lot of farmers, they do all their own research and stuff, but just like the veterans things, unless you've got the time to really sit down and see what grants are out there and how you process them and stuff, that may be a tie-in with our beginning hub here. You start them an incubator here, but by the way, while you're here doing your incubation, the Learning Center is going to help you out in filling out all the grants you can get, so you can find that piece of property and continue on.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing, you know, we always want to bear in mind our mission, and that is the role that the county farm and lands play in all of this. I mean, that basically was our charge. So as we create something, a much more vibrant, growing agricultural community here in the county, the role that the county farm and lands play in it. We never want to lose sight of that.
Well, and it was a real duh factor for me when they started just talking about the amount of money. I mean, I just never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But the amount of money that's there and the percentage for growth. Like you said, we eat more than we produce. The more we can
That's right.
produce, people are going to eat the same amount of food. They're just spending it here. I just
Exactly.
never really thought much about, but I'm kind of staggered by the numbers.
It's where does that food dollar go? And right now, it leaves the county.
Yeah.
There was a study done a number of years back, and Dave Sorensen, remember this from the Economic Council. It was done by a professor at the University of Missouri. And what he found is that the more hands that a dollar passes through in a community or the county before it leaves that community or county, the more prosperous that community or county is.
Dollar local is
Exactly.
$1.80 generated business.
But when you go to Shaw's or Hannaford's, and I'm not picking on Shaw's or Hannaford, that dollar immediately leaves the county. It's not. But if you buy locally, that farmer is now spending that money locally. So
Well, and it's so
the
hard.
economic impact is dramatic.
It's so hard because, again, I've been lucky to be associated with people that have been around this area for 100 years.
Now, you're not that old, Becky.
Well, no, but I've got relatives that were, and I mean, I look where I live now,
Yeah,
and I know the land to where we used to own,
yeah,
and I've got pictures of it where it was nothing but field.
yeah, yeah.
Well, we've been cutting trees down now for 15 years, and we haven't gotten anywhere near back to where we could say we're field.
Yeah.
And I think people have grown to forget that this primarily used to be a huge farming community. I found a picture of the old almshouse that was actually the first Carroll County house. There is not a tree around. It's a 3-story building that's 400 feet long.
That's where all the trees are.
But there's not a tree. There's not a tree around it. It was all agricultural,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
read what they grew
Yeah.
because of necessity and need. You know,
Right.
they had to feed the poor, so they grew their vegetables, they grew their meat, they grew their dairy, they grew their butter, and convenience is not that easy when you're doing that. You know, the convenience. Now the tide has turned again, the pendulum has swung again, and people are not wanting to drive through and get their quick hamburger. They would rather have their salad from local stuff,
Yeah.
and that's where we have
Yeah.
to sort of focus
Yeah.
again. So I will redo this up. It may
Yes,
take me
okay.
a day or so,
That-
but I
that
will
was-
do that
yes,
back up.
do it up, and please email that to the committee as a whole.
Yep, I will.
That's excellent so far.
And so this is good. You've done good, Becky. Thank you very much.
But should we plan on getting, because I'm looking at the calendars, and as you see, we're not very many here.
Yeah, I wanted
And
to talk.
we can't make a vote, but should we plan on setting up, as Ed suggested, a farmers roundtable sometime in September?
I think that's a
We'll
great
start.
idea. A lot of the farming will have
Died
quieted down a little bit. It won't be
Want to get
anymore
away,
27.
gotta wait until after the fairs.
Yep.
You know, I think that
Well, that
time
gets us
frame
into October
between
then.
Freiburg and, well, no, I'm thinking of the time frame between Labor Day and the start of like
Before the fairs.
Freiburg Fair and Sandwich Fair. That's our local fairs
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Well, one way to look at that is if you went into some of the local farmers markets and just said, you know, those people that participate in this market, we're trying to get a meeting together, you know, county, whatever
Yeah.
the discussion is, and and maybe, if you went to 4 or 5 of them at a time and said, could you get some members to come to this meeting, because we just want to talk about agricultural issues. But just do that through the existing farmers markets and farm stands and stuff like that are sort of cooperative, because they really are, it's just different people, a lot of them are all selling the same stuff for different prices, I might add.
Well, I know in August that the Carroll County Farm group is going to be up at isn't it the Bear Farm in Tamworth, August 18th or something like that? Yeah.
I thought I saw an email, something like that.
Yeah, they're going to be up in Tamworth on the 18th. So I think if we can give them a date, at least through the Farm Bureau and stuff, and then we can put it, I'd like to get it planned because I'd like to get the advertisement out there to get enough
So you want to
interest.
hold it here? So the first thing we need to do is just make sure, we set a date that we know we can have the room in the evening.
Yeah.
In the evening.
Yeah.
Or whether we can use it in the evening, and if we can't, where can we do it? Because I'm looking at this as not a daytime thing.
No, I agree with you.
But let's get a location and a place where we can do it on a date
Yeah,
and then start.
I had
thinking
talked
about it.
with Ken a week or so back, and looking at times, days and times that this room was available.
Right.
And he said it would be with advance notice. He
Right.
says this room would be available till 8 o'clock,
At night,
8 p.m.
8
So,
p.m. So we
yes.
could do a 6:30 to 7.
So we could.
An hour
We have
and
to
a
give
half.
him advance notice, we
Well,
couldn't call
so
us.
let's establish a date. That we
That's
wanna do
what I
it.
feel
All right,
Okay.
all
I
right.
hate to get pushy, but
No, I just.
you know,
No,
I feel like in a way we've been dragging for,
That's how you
Yep.
move forward,
I mean, my life's as complicated as everybody else's. Let's see.
So, I don't know, but you said after the fair, so we'll be looking at.
Well, no, I'm
Well-
saying after the crop season, before October.
Oh, okay, all right.
We could do it in mid-September, the last
Yeah.
half of September.
Yeah.
Because both of the Freiburg Fair is the very end of September into October, and I think the
Sandwich Fair is
what?
after
Yeah,
Freiburg.
Columbus Day weekend generally,
Yeah.
isn't it?
A
Okay.
lot of-
So the last
lot of
half of
farm homes
September.
have they have regular jobs too, so maybe like a Friday night.
And this is open to all the farming community.
All agricultural community.
Oh, yes, yeah, okay.
Because, we can make it specific to say this includes anybody that sells a product out there, whether it's wine,
Yeah.
whether it's honey, whether it's,
And this is a listening, we want to.
we want
We want
listen
them
to
to
you
talk
guys.
to us.
Yep.
If you planted a seed and put $1 in
Do
your
you really
pocket.
think a
last
Friday
year-
would be a good?
I'm not necessarily, I'm just trying to think logically about when to do this. I mean, if
Well,
we're
I was-
doing it in the evening, it's after work, I mean.
I was thinking maybe on a Wednesday, September 21st.
All right,
September 21st?
yeah.
It's 2 weeks after Labor Day, and it's 2 weeks before the start of Freiburg Fair, so.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, 6:30 to 8?
Yeah.
6 to 8?
Well, if you say.
I think
hours.
6:30, because that gives them a chance to get
Say
their
doors
dinner and
open at
stuff.
6, meeting starts at
6:30.
6:30.
There you go.
That way we can sell some coffee for the county.
I want the concession.
6 to 7:30?
Let's make it till 8. Because,
Okay.
as Ed says, sometimes you get a group in there talking, sometimes they begin to feed on each other, which is
Right.
great. This is what we want.
You know you're successful when the parking lot doesn't clear out till 8:45.
Okay.
And should
So
we-
how are we going to promote this thing?
Well, I think we need to get the information out to Frank
Yep.
Wiley, which I
Yep.
can drop off at the Ossipee Town Hall at any time. Maybe use your learning center site as well.
Always do.
And hopefully, maybe by then, I will have our Facebook page up. I was looking for a picture.
Yeah.
And we'll get it in the paper as a
Yeah,
PSA, and we can get it on the
newspapers.
radio as a
Yeah.
PSA.
Yeah.
And once we have confirmed that the date's available to us and stuff, I mean, when I go to the farmer's market.
Yeah,
I'll
we can
just
go to the
say, hey,
farmer's
this
market, we
is
can
happening.
post it in the libraries, we
Yeah.
can post it at town halls.
Yeah.
What happens if we have too many people show up? Because this room's only rated for 50, isn't it?
Dang.
It won't happen.
I don't know, we got more here for that last meeting
We
than we
sold out.
thought we were
There
going
people
to.
standing out there in the hallway.
Well, that's
when
what
we
years
get
of public
vehicles.
service will do to you, Dave, positive thing. Reality sets right in.
What
Yes.
is, what
About
is
Weekly
the
market bulletin.
weekly market
Yes,
bulletin?
yep.
Regarding
Do
the
you-
survey, what's the deadline for return and when are you gonna get it out?
Well, we're revising it first, so
Are you gonna
Actually,
have
we were
this ready
thinking
for
we-
that meeting?
we might hand it out at that meeting.
Oh,
Do we want to wait that long to get it out there, though?
Depends on how how we get it.
Yeah,
That's up to
yeah.
the committee. We can't make a decision today
No.
anyway, because we don't have a quorum,
Yeah.
But
so.
the more important really date is when it needs to be in, when you're gonna start evaluating, what you're
Yeah,
gonna do with
yeah.
it. So that sort of indicates.
There needs to
when
be a
you need to
deadline
get-
on
but
there.
There's no reason that if this wasn't, final approval 2 days from now, that we couldn't start
That's
passing it out
right.
2 days.
That's right.
Just get it out there.
That's right.
I mean, if this was given to me, emailed to me, I'm very happy to print out 10 copies when I go to a farmer's market. And just bring it with me, just pass it
Yeah.
out.
All right, I
Once
will
we
work
have the
on
finished
it.
document, there's
If-
nothing says you can't start distributing.
If
Right.
it, I'll revamp it, we send it out to the members, if you ask for a vote on it, but then that email has to come back into our meeting to become part of the public
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
That's all. So I'll work on it. I might be able to get it revised by Saturday.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think for the next meeting, spend some time thinking about when it needs to be in.
Yeah.
You know, when you're gonna
I
start
wrote across the
rolling.
top need deadline.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to drag that, we want it, and I think if there's not a deadline on it, people have a tendency just to kind of set it aside, then they forget about it.
Well, but we also need to know what the avenue is gonna be, because if we put it in the paper and stuff, nobody's gonna mail it back to you, that's a given.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hand it out at farmers markets and
Right.
stuff.
So how do we
but
get it
if-
back?
Well, that's what I say.
You were
If
said
we-
about having it done on
Survey Monkey.
the Survey Monkey. I mean, have a cover letter. This is available on Survey Monkey. You know.
Okay.
Right, go to such and such, fill out online.
Okay, all
But you
right.
hand them the hard copy of it.
So who's going to take care of that?
I'll look into the cost, because
Yeah.
I think the cost is 49 and 99. I think 99 gives you 1,000, 49 gives you 500.
So, I mean, you get billed, if you have 1,000, they send you a bill for X.
I think it's,
It's by response,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
no,
And you're
I think
gonna-
it's by just group.
And you're going to check on that, Becky?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
all
for
right.
free, you can do 10 questions and you get 100 responses. I
Okay,
think it's 50
all right.
responses.
Okay.
Beyond that, it's 49 and 99, but I'll check the price and
All right.
I'll send it out to everybody.
Okay.
Steve?
Yes.
Would there be a way of getting this into the market bulletin, saying that a survey is being done in Carroll County?
Yeah.
Because a lot of farmers get the weekly market bulletin.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have
How
brought
do-
that up as well.
Something
Do
like
you have
this?
the address to them, or
Yeah.
if I type up something, can you submit it to them, or?
You can go, it's on the New Hampshire, is it agricultural, is that departments? The
Yeah, Department of Agriculture on the
Yeah,
state
Department of
government.
Agriculture.
Yeah, on the
But
state
that
government.
goes out to all farmers in the state, right?
Could they limit it just
The weekly
to?
market bulletin, only if you're a subscriber.
You have to subscribe.
Okay, but we could say this is a
Carroll
survey
County.
for Carroll County only,
Could they
correct?
differentiate in that and just?
Okay.
Okay, you take care of that too, Becky?
Yeah, I'll-
You on a roll here?
Yeah, there should be announcements,
Okay.
column under there that they could put it under.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, if we have a cover letter that says, here this is, you can fill this out and mail it in if you want, or you can go online. And I mean,
Where would
it'd
they
be great
mail
if
it
we
to?
had more than 1,000
Yeah.
responses.
Where would they mail it to?
Huh?
Where would they mail the
Well,
survey
this
to?
is setting up the, I don't know where they mail it to, but
I-
I'm just gonna say, the problem I'm running into now is if we do get a great response, and we're doing the Survey Monkey, right, it's just a question of, I appreciate you offering to pay, and I'm willing to chip in some money for
Yeah,
something
I'll
like that
chip in
too.
some too.
But I think that it's an important function, so.
Yeah, The
And
survey
even if-
right now is the guts.
because even if it's
Yeah.
mailed in,
But, okay,
you can manually go in and put it into Survey Monkey, so it would be added into those results.
yeah,
Right,
but,
okay.
okay, so someone has taken the time to fill it out. Now, the next question is, okay, what do I do with it?
Well, we'll have them send it to the county.
Right.
Send it to the county?
I mean, we can send it attention to the FFAC committee.
Okay, all right.
If they
Well,
want to mail it in.
Olivia has a lot of contacts, because I've gotten a lot of Survey Monkeys for different things going on in the farming community. So you may want to talk to her too about, to email out to, she's got a vast database of people that she sends
Cool.
these
Okay.
type of monkey things out to. And
Okay.
The reason I'm bringing it up is
Yeah.
it's just a question, there is money involved there. I mean, I'm happy enough to pony up $100 to help pay for the cost of the Survey Monkey. I mean, I think
Well,
it's-
and we might be able to get Peter Benson to do it.
Well and
Sure.
good, but if we're making a decision
Right.
to every copy of this
Well, we're not, 'cause
has
this
the
is a
link
work session.
written on it
Yeah.
for people to go home and, well, of course, they
Yeah.
don't have to go home anymore, they carry their computers with them. But,
I'll put $100 into it.
Well, I say,
I'll
well,
match you.
let me check out what the prices
Yeah.
are. I don't think I
Okay,
can get it
all
up
right.
here.
I just-
You
we
can
just need-
email that to us
I
too,
will
Becky,
email
rather than
it
wait
to
till the next
everybody.
We
meeting.
got a bunch of generous people here, but so it answers the question, is that we're gonna self-fund it, is what it boils
Yeah,
down to, right?
yeah.
Okay, so September 21st.
Yep, at from 6:30 to 8 here.
When,
And we're gonna promote that?
see, we can't really do it because we don't have a quorum.
No, we can't.
Well, first, we just need to make sure we have permission to use the building at
Yes,
a particular
but we can,
night.
Right,
I'll
so
touch
we'll
base
check.
with Ken
Yeah.
before we.
And let us know, and
Yeah.
and if
The
people are
21st,
answering
6:30 to
questions
8.
about this survey at the same
Yeah.
time, they could send that
Yeah.
in with the same email or
Okay,
whatever.
I think, well, let's talk about our meetings, because it's been very, very difficult to get quorums. And I fully understand that this is summertime, people are on vacation, people are traveling. I fully understand that. But the thing is, you know, we're not being able to move along.
An appeal from the chair to the people that have been coming to the meeting saying is that we're at a position right now where you actually do have to make the extra effort to inconvenience your life to attend these meetings, or please try to find a replacement. that needs to be made.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
Go right ahead and say it.
And because and the other thing is, I would like us to get into a meeting schedule where we meet, if not every week, at least every other week. We got a lot of work to do here. And I'd like to pick a day and a time so that everybody can go home, look at their calendar and say, okay, this day at this time, I've got to be here. And if I can't, to let someone know in advance that I can't make it. I don't like, well, this week we'll meet on a Wednesday and next week we'll meet on a Friday. That's, in other words, it's Monday at 9 in the morning, or it's Thursday at 2 in the afternoon. I don't care when.
Wednesdays are great for me because I have something I do every Wednesday night, so I'm in town no matter what.
Okay, so I'd
I
like,
try not to
again, we can't
schedule
make a
stuff.
decision,
Yeah.
but I'd like at least the three of us to agree on this, and I can send out an email.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're not meeting enough, and when we're here too often, we don't have a quorum.
Right.
And I realize people are busy, summertime is a bad time anyway, but we've got work to do. Just as an example, Andy Kendall has told us that we need something by August 18th. So we're not gonna have anything by August 18th. What do we even begin to think about for August 18th? Because we can't begin to discuss these things. And maybe we don't feel we've got timeframes that we do. People who basically said to us, if you want our help, we've got to know by a certain date or time. And we can't do that. We're floundering.
I sort of like the Wednesdays too. Fridays, to me, is just, it's the end of the week, and I don't know that Susan has the time, but same thing. I don't know about Melissa, if we dropped it later in the evening type area, that she'd be able to come, but you've got stuff on evenings, but I sort of like the Wednesdays too. To set one date a month, I think would be great,
No.
and then go from there to see if we could at least get people here. You know, like the first Wednesday of every month. I mean, we can work in subcommittees, but at least to have the whole group here, like the first Wednesday of every month, the farm committee will meet at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Because we can't make decisions. And we've had some good discussion. We have charted a lot of things, but now we've got to wait till the next meeting to
accomplish
vote.
anything.
Exactly. So
Or
we're
take
losing
an
time.
internet vote
Yeah,
and then
right. But
make sure that
yeah.
that data gets put in.
I'm under the impression, and maybe someone here in the room could, that you can take a vote on the internet, but you can't discuss things on the internet.
Right.
That's the right to know. And I fully support that, believe me. In our town, I'm a fanatic on the right to know, a fanatic. So if we say, okay, vote on this, someone's gonna say, well, what is it we're voting on? Now you're getting into a discussion. Well, we discussed this, and this, and this. Well,
That's not the way
No,
to do
you
it.
say, watch the tape. Here's what was discussed at our work session.
Exactly.
Here's the survey complete.
we need a
Yes
vote.
or
Yeah.
no?
That's why I said, when you finish that survey, mail it out, email it to everybody. Now they've got the survey. And I'll say, okay, this is what we're sending out for survey.
Yes
This
or
is how
no?
we're gonna do it, yes or no?
Yeah.
And that's all we want.
Yep.
Okay.
But as I say, we're,
So timeline for the survey is have it all ready to go and approved by next Friday?
Sure.
I mean, we have to start putting timelines on
yes,
it, or
yeah.
it keeps
You
drying.
mean this
So
Friday or a week from this Friday?
This
This,
day after tomorrow.
no,
Oh.
I don't think I'll have it
Okay.
No.
done. The following
A
Friday,
week-
give me a day.
Okay, all right, yes.
The following
survey,
Friday, which
yes.
would be what, the 18th,
Well, today's what, the 10th?
17th, 18th, 19th. I think the following Friday
Today's
is
the
the
10th, so the
19th.
12th and the 19th.
19th.
Yeah.
So we have
Okay.
to have, the surveys will be ready to go by the 19th.
Yes, and we'll get a vote on the
Approved,
19th.
whatever.
You'll have a vote by the Monday afterwards. I mean, you can
We'll
send
have a
it-
Yes.
vote
Yes.
before the 19th, but
Yes.
it's gonna be
Yes.
ready to be
Right.
broadcasted, available, sent out, and I will
Okay.
have the survey.
And we'll have a
copies.
deadline on there.
So we wanna meet next Wednesday then,
Let's meet next Wednesday.
Okay.
at 1?
I should check with Ken to make sure that the room's available.
Well, if not, they've got rooms at Mountain View and stuff, so if
Okay,
we have to,
okay.
we'll move it to
All
the
right.
Ossipee Library or something.
All right. The other thing is, we couldn't take a vote today, but we did discuss basically adding other people to the committee, and I really would like to push for Jessie from the Ever Valley Land Trust. I think she brings another whole dimension to this, that we're reaching out and finding other partners, and I think the more partners we have, the stronger we are. So I will get back to her and tell her that we couldn't take a vote, but that those were there, basically were in agreement with this. Am I contradicting anybody?
No.
Okay, all right, good. Anything else? I gotta get back to Andy Kendall. What am I gonna tell him about the 18th?
What did he want?
Well, he wanted to know, what are you gonna present me as far as a preliminary RFP?
And I don't think we're there yet.
We're not there at all.
No.
And I just think that's what we have to tell him.
Yeah,
Maybe by the time he comes back in October,
Yeah.
we'll be
Yeah.
farther along.
yeah.
I mean, at least then we'll have some data to say, wow, there's no point in going out for an RFP because nobody's gonna support it.
Exactly, and that's the key.
Now, I know we can't take a vote or anything, but I would like Ken to put these on to our minute area on the county
Minutes.
website. These are those it was a non-work session, so
Yeah.
it was just,
Why don't you give it to me, and oh, you wanna take it down and give it to him? I gotta see him anyway.
no, you can, and
Okay,
you're gonna
I'll
ask
give
him
it-
about the 21st?
Yep, I gotta ask him about the 21st
And
anyway.
you're gonna ask him if we can use the address here for people that wanna mail in the surveys?
Yes, yes, yeah. Does anybody have anything else?
Nope.
All right. And you both got copies of that feasibility, of the study that was
Yep.
done? Okay.
So I just want to thank you, because I was at a more boring meeting, and I had to leave early, so I appreciate it.
I never want our meetings to be boring. I want to thank the two of you for coming.
Good survey. Thank you.
Yeah.
Look this up, it's great.
Thank you, Dave.